The pursuit of self-improvement can turn into the most elegant prison ever built. You think you are building yourself, but if you are not careful, you are only tightening the chains that bind you. I have seen many men rise by discipline, only to fall by obsession. They began their journey to master the mind and ended enslaved by it. They started with vision and finished with vanity. They wanted freedom, yet made a god out of improvement itself. Let me tell you something, the world of progress will not. Growth without inner peace is decay disguised as achievement. When the desire to improve consumes gratitude, when ambition drowns silence, when the will to succeed replaces the will to understand, the soul begins to starve. You were never meant to worship the process. You were meant to use it. The law of success was given to you as a servant, not a master. Desire is sacred only when guided by definiteness of purpose. But without balance, it becomes a fire that burns its builder. I have watched young men read every book, follow every method, chase every secret, and still feel empty. They wake at dawn, recite affirmations, train their bodies, fill their journals. Yet when the room grows quiet, they cannot stand their own thoughts. They have built systems, but not selves. Understand this. No amount of progress can compensate for the loss of presence. You cannot climb your way to peace. You must decide it. The mountain of achievement has no summit for the restless. Each step promises satisfaction, but when reached, it whispers, more. Self-improvement is a noble path until you forget why you began. You wanted strength, not perfection. You wanted clarity, not comparison. You wanted to direct your life, not measure it against another's. But the world turned discipline into performance and purpose into pressure. There is a dark side to ambition. It does not always roar. Sometimes it whispers, you are still not enough. And if you listen too long, you will trade your joy for progress, your peace for productivity, your authenticity for applause. That is not mastery. That is madness dressed in achievement. The law of success has always warned against this. Every power must be balanced by principle. Desire must be tempered by gratitude. Faith must be grounded in harmony. Action must be guided by conscience. The man who forgets these truths may win the world and lose his soul in the process. Look at history. Many built empires only to collapse inward. They conquered industries and lost families. They gained influence but forfeited peace. They mastered business and mismanaged the heart. They believed becoming more would make them whole. But wholeness was never a matter of quantity. Do not misunderstand me. Growth is essential, but growth without alignment is destruction. The oak that grows too quickly cracks under its own weight. The mind that expands without wisdom becomes dangerous. The soul that evolves without humility becomes hollow. So ask yourself, why am I improving? Is it to serve or to be seen, to express potential or to escape pain? Because your motive will decide your destination. If your motive is fear, every victory will feel fragile. If your motive is pride, every loss will feel fatal. True improvement is not the creation of a new self. It is the unveiling of the real one. You are not here to become something you are not. You are here to remove everything false, everything borrowed, everything fearful, until only truth remains. When I say become better but don't lose your soul, I mean master the outer world, but remain master of the inner one. Build your fortune, but do not sell your faith to do it. Expand your influence, but keep your integrity untouched. Use the laws of success, but never forget the law of conscience. You must learn to be both ambitious and at peace, both driven and gentle, both confident and humble. That balance, not extremity, is the mark of mastery. A calm mind in pursuit of greatness will achieve more than a restless heart ever could. Let others race to prove themselves. You prove your control. Let others chase validation. You chase vision. Let others burn themselves out trying to be everything. You quietly become something unshakable. When the crowd tells you to hustle harder, remember that stillness is also strength. When the world tells you to keep improving, remember that appreciation is also advancement. When society worships progress for its own sake, remember that peace is the highest progress of all. Say to yourself, I will build, but I will not bow. I will rise, but I will not rush. I will improve, but I will not forget who I am. Repeat it until it becomes your compass, because in a world intoxicated with motion, calmness is rebellion. You must guard against turning self-improvement into self-rejection. You are not broken, you are becoming. The seed does not despise itself for being buried. It knows the soil is its classroom. Growth is not punishment, it is privilege, but obsession is poison. I have said it before. The subconscious obeys what you repeat. If you constantly repeat that you are not enough, even in the name of improvement, your mind will believe it. So speak progress with peace. Affirm growth with gratitude. Demand discipline with compassion. There is nothing wrong with wanting more. The danger lies in forgetting the miracle of what already is. Improvement should enhance your humanity, not erase it. It should make you more kind, not more cold, more awake, not more anxious, more disciplined, not more distant. The ultimate goal of self-improvement is not perfection. It is peace. It is to live each day with purpose, gratitude, and self-command. To be able to say, I am growing, yes, but I am already whole. So as you continue on your path of mastery, remember this law. Success is not measured by how far you run, but by how deeply you remain yourself while running. Do not trade your soul for progress. Let progress serve your soul. Because the world does not need another perfect man, it needs a whole one. Discipline was meant to be a bridge to freedom, not a cage. Yet many who begin the path of mastery mistake the bridge for the destination. They believe that to be disciplined is to be divine, that every act of control is progress. But discipline without understanding becomes tyranny of the mind. The man who cannot rest, who cannot forgive himself, who measures his worth by his output, he is not free. He is chained by his own creation. You must learn the difference between discipline as command and discipline as confinement. The former expands life, the latter contracts it. True discipline is self-respect in motion. It serves your purpose without stealing your peace. False discipline is fear disguised as effort. It drives you not toward mastery, but away from calmness. The man ruled by compulsion has not mastered himself. He has only learned to obey a new master, his insecurity. The greatest danger in the pursuit of self-improvement is the subtle belief that you are broken, that each act of progress must prove your worth. This is the poison that turns practice into punishment. A man who begins from lack will end in exhaustion, no matter how far he climbs. For improvement built on fear is like building a palace upon sand. It may rise beautifully, but it cannot endure the storm. You must remember the law of balance. Growth was never meant to consume peace. Success is not measured by intensity, but by harmony. Growth without gratitude is decay, wearing a mask of progress. The oak does not strain to grow. It grows by law, in rhythm with the sun and soil. But man, in his vanity, forgets this. He tears at his own roots in the name of ambition, and then wonders why he feels hollow at the height of achievement. There is an illusion that deceives every ambitious soul, the illusion of perfection. The idea that one more book, one more habit, one more morning routine will make him whole. He becomes a collector of methods, a worshiper of schedules, a slave to metrics. He compares himself to other travelers and wonders why his steps feel heavy while theirs seem light. But comparison is the thief of presence. No man can walk forward while his eyes are sideways. In my studies, I have found that the achievement trap is the finest snare the devil ever built. It begins as noble desire and ends as endless hunger. The man seeks strength but finds obsession. He believes the next victory will quiet the voice within that whispers, "Not enough." But that voice is not silenced by progress. It is fed by it. The more you obey it, the louder it grows. Beware of obsession with method. Systems, rules, and structures are valuable servants but cruel masters. A man can repeat his affirmations and follow his schedules until he forgets why he began them. He performs rituals but feels no renewal. He prays but does not listen. His success becomes mechanical, his improvement lifeless. When method replaces meaning, the spirit withers though the body appears strong. Faith and fanaticism are born of the same root, desire for control, but they grow in opposite directions. Faith trusts the law. Fanaticism distrusts the self. Faith acts with calm certainty. Fanaticism trembles beneath its own pressure. Faith says, it will unfold in time. Fanaticism shouts, I must force it now. One builds harmony with the infinite. The other breaks itself upon the wheel of its own impatience. There is a psychology I have witnessed in the defeated achiever, the disease of never enough. It grows from good soil, the desire to progress. But without rest and reflection, repetition becomes cruelty. The man who cannot look upon his own work and call it good has forgotten the joy of creation. He becomes a craftsman without heart, skilled but soulless. Every success feels smaller than the next failure imagined. Hidden within the creed of constant progress lies pride. The ego wears diligence as disguise. The mind whispers, I am better because I am busy. But effort does not equal elevation. A man may work harder than kings and still think like a beggar. He measures life by labor instead of by peace, forgetting that effort without direction is simply struggle in disguise. True diligence is not frantic. It is focused, graceful, deliberate. History teaches this lesson with brutal honesty. Napoleon conquered Europe, but not himself. Alexander crossed continents, but never crossed his own vanity. They commanded armies, yet were prisoners of appetite. Their ambition burned brighter than their wisdom, and in that imbalance their empires fell. Power without peace is destruction. The same fire that builds can also consume if not governed by principle. Imagine the man who builds an empire yet cannot enjoy a meal. His table overflows with abundance, yet his spirit starves. He looks at his riches and feels poorer than before. The noise of achievement deafens the voice of gratitude. He works to rest, but never rests from work. His success is a magnificent prison, gilded, celebrated, but still a cell. I have long warned that definiteness without harmony is the surest road to ruin. Purpose must be joined with peace, or else it turns against its maker. The law of success is creative, not cruel. It does not demand your exhaustion, it demands your order. To be definite in aim but indefinite in rest is to war against nature herself. Consider the subconscious mind. It hears not your ambition, but your tone. It does not distinguish between your striving and your suffering. It obeys repetition. If every thought is framed in dissatisfaction, if every prayer is laced with not yet, then the subconscious learns to dwell in lack. You condition it to believe that peace must wait until perfection, and what you believe, you become. There are two voices within every seeker, the voice of conscience and the voice of obsession. The voice of conscience whispers, grow in grace, not in haste. The voice of obsession demands, do more, or you are nothing. One builds character, the other breeds anxiety. The choice between them is not made once. It is made daily in silence, before action. When self-improvement becomes an idol, the servant becomes the master. You begin to worship the ladder instead of the destination. Every morning routine becomes ritual. Every rule becomes religion. You measure worth by hours of productivity instead of moments of peace. You treat your humanity as error rather than essence. But the law of life is not perfection. It is balance. Even the heart rests between beats. There is an old saying, he who chases 2 rabbits catches none. The modern man chases 10, calling it progress. He pursues money, mastery, influence, fame, but loses direction. He multiplies goals and divides his soul. His energy scatters, his joy fades. He believes that constant movement equals advancement. but motion without meaning is merely noise. Contrast this with Henry Ford. His ambition was vast, but his aim was simple. He did not chase 10 goals. He pursued one with total focus to bring mobility to the masses. He did not seek to compete endlessly, but to serve efficiently. He measured progress not by fame, but by usefulness. And because he kept his purpose pure, his peace endured even when the world criticized him. Gratitude is the cure for restlessness. When you give thanks, you rejoin the rhythm of creation. You remind the mind that progress is not proof of worth, but the natural expression of it. Gratitude transforms the chase into appreciation, the demand into joy. It teaches you that improvement is not an escape from inadequacy, but a celebration of potential already present. The paradox of self-mastery is that true control often looks like surrender. The man who truly commands himself does not need to tighten every screw. He knows when to stop turning. He does not force progress. He allows it. He understands that law works best when obeyed with calm faith. The stormy mind exhausts itself. The serene mind directs effortlessly. When others look upon the obsessed, they admire his strength but sense unease. They see intensity without peace, drive without direction. His energy impresses, yet it does not inspire. People follow him for his results, not his presence. His words move crowds, but his silence moves no one. He becomes an engine, efficient but cold. The world calls him successful. His heart knows he is a captive. The man of true mastery feels different. He works with quiet confidence. He builds with gratitude, rests without guilt, speaks without rush. His progress is steady because it flows from harmony. He does not need to prove. His peace is proof enough. When others watch him, they feel calm, not competition. His growth uplifts instead of intimidates. Affirm this daily. I grow by law, not by fear. I improve to serve, not to prove. I advance with peace as my companion. These words are not poetry. They are command. Speak them slowly until they carve certainty into your subconscious. Let them remind you that success without serenity is failure in disguise, and that discipline without joy is simply another form of bondage. The true master uses discipline as a tool, not a temple. He knows that power was never meant to replace peace, but to protect it. He understands that all effort must end in ease, that all striving must return to stillness. For the purpose of growth is not to become more perfect, but to become more whole. So before you rise tomorrow, ask yourself this question: am I improving from love or from fear? If the answer is fear, pause, breathe. Remember that no achievement can make you more worthy than you already are. Improvement is not proof of value, it is the expression of it. When you build from that understanding, every effort becomes worship, every discipline becomes delight. And if ever you forget, look to nature once more. The sun does not rush to rise, yet it never fails to shine. The ocean does not strain to move, yet it shapes continents. The universe advances in perfect calmness. You too were designed for rhythm, not frenzy. Align with that rhythm, and you will find that progress, when purified of pride, becomes peace. Every man who seeks greatness must learn to balance motion with stillness, ambition with calm, progress with peace. For the mind, like the earth, must turn steadily upon its axis, or it will destroy itself in the speed of its own spin. I have watched many men rise by will alone, only to fall by imbalance. They confused rest with weakness, silence with idleness, and peace with surrender, not realizing that peace is power in its purest form. The law of equilibrium is the guardian of all progress. Just as the pendulum cannot swing forward without first returning backward, so too must your mind alternate between action and reflection. If you live only in motion, you lose direction. If you remain only in stillness, you lose momentum. The art of life is to move as nature moves, rhythmically, not restlessly. It is not constant intensity that produces greatness, but constant harmony. Many men burn themselves out not because their dreams are too large, but because their energy is mismanaged. They push through fatigue. They force thought. They chase hours, mistaking activity for achievement. They forget that nature never hurries, yet everything is accomplished. The wise man aligns his ambition with the tempo of law. He knows that inner balance multiplies efficiency, that a calm mind performs miracles that a restless mind cannot imagine. Improvement without balance is like fire without form. It burns everything, including its master. Balance gives power its direction. It is the invisible hand that guides the visible motion. The man who learns to maintain balance amidst ambition is unstoppable, for he can rise without collapsing, endure without hardening, and succeed without losing peace. Growth must be anchored in purpose, or it becomes motion for motion's sake. There are many who spend their lives climbing ladders, only to discover they lean them against the wrong wall. Purpose is the compass that prevents waste. Before every effort, ask yourself, does this serve my definite aim? The balanced man does not chase 10 purposes. He refines one. His improvement has meaning because it serves direction, not vanity. The difference between burning desire and destructive desire lies in peace. Burning desire creates, destructive desire consumes. The former is guided by faith, the latter by fear. The man of faith can wait. He knows that delay does not mean denial. The man of fear cannot rest. He believes that stillness means loss. But the law of success rewards those who move with confidence, not those who tremble in haste. You must learn the rhythm of progress, the divine alternation of work and reflection. Action without reflection produces exhaustion. Reflection without action breeds stagnation. Progress requires both. Consider the breath. Inhale, exhale, each necessary to sustain life. So too must the mind inhale through study, gratitude, and silence, then exhale through action, service, and expression. To ignore either is to break the rhythm that sustains creation. Balance is the governor of power. A machine without balance destroys itself. A mind without balance loses sanity. Greatness demands strength, but strength without harmony collapses into chaos. Every virtue, when exaggerated, becomes vice. Discipline becomes cruelty. Confidence becomes arrogance. Ambition becomes greed. The man who knows this law learns to temper his qualities as a craftsman tempers steel. Through controlled heat and measured cooling, nature destroys excess. The tree that grows too fast breaks beneath its own weight. The river that floods its banks destroys its own path. And the man who lives only in ambition loses the ground of his soul. The law of moderation is not weakness. It is wisdom. It teaches that growth without restraint is decay in disguise. The wise man does not fight this law. He flows with it. Balance requires gentleness. Many men mistake harshness for strength. They speak to themselves with contempt, whip themselves into effort, and call it discipline. Yet force without kindness exhausts its source. The man who governs himself must also care for himself. He must learn to direct his energy with respect, not resentment. Power guided by gentleness lasts. Power driven by punishment destroys. There exists within every mind a quiet zone, the sacred stillness where infinite intelligence speaks. But you cannot hear that voice amid noise, no matter how noble the noise may be. The man of balance enters silence daily, not as escape, but as alignment. In that stillness, he receives ideas that no struggle could produce. For while effort works with muscle, intuition works with miracle. The calm mind hears what the restless one misses. Thomas Edison understood this truth. Though tireless in experimentation, he also practiced the art of rest. He would retreat into solitude, walk through his laboratory in silence, and let ideas rise from the quiet. Those moments of balance between thinking and listening, striving and surrendering, produced inventions that shaped civilization. His genius was not merely persistence, but rhythm. Gratitude and faith are the two stabilizers of motion. Gratitude anchors you in the present. Faith pulls you toward the future. Gratitude prevents impatience. Faith prevents doubt. Together they keep the mind poised between what is and what shall be. A man grounded in both never loses his center. Even when he moves rapidly in the world, his spirit remains still. The chemistry of peace is practical. Calmness clears thought, lowers friction, and multiplies accuracy. In every field, business, leadership, invention, art, those who remain calm under pressure surpass those who panic. It is not speed that conquers challenge, but clarity. Calmness is not absence of energy. It is energy under control. The highest expression of balance is service. When ambition matures into contribution, it ceases to be selfish and becomes sacred. The man who lives to serve cannot lose balance, for his focus has shifted from self to purpose. He no longer measures success by applause, but by alignment. Every act becomes meaningful because it is done with awareness, not anxiety. Abraham Lincoln embodied this law. His ambition was fierce, yet his compassion was greater. He bore the weight of a divided nation, but never surrendered to hate. His strength was not in dominance, but in dignity. He ruled emotion by understanding it. His calmness in storm gave courage to millions. He improved himself not to exalt himself, but to heal his country. Spiritual hygiene is necessary to preserve balance. The mind collects dust just as the body does. You must cleanse it regularly of comparison, of guilt, of vanity. Comparison poisons gratitude. Guilt paralyzes will. Vanity blinds purpose. Spend a few moments each evening in quiet review. Forgive what was imperfect. Bless what was achieved. And release what was unnecessary. This simple practice restores moral clarity. Detachment is another secret of balance. To act with full energy, yet remain inwardly free from result. That is mastery. The man of detachment gives his best effort, but refuses to suffer over outcome. He knows that law rewards alignment, not anxiety. He understands that peace is not found after success, but during it. This calm indifference to result is not apathy. It is faith in action. The balanced man honors stillness as he honors labor. Each morning he begins with silence to claim his center. He refuses to enter the day until his mind is aligned. That simple act, a few minutes of prayer, gratitude, or reflection, turns chaos into order. The undisciplined man says, "I have no time for stillness," and so wastes hours in confusion. The wise man says, "I have no time to lose my peace," and so multiplies his results. There is a spiritual economy in rest. The man who pauses to think produces more in 1 hour than the hurried man produces in 10. Reflection sharpens focus. Rest restores creativity. The soil must lie fallow to yield abundance. The mind must rest to produce insight. The law of rest is the secret partner of progress. You must learn to distinguish momentum from mania. Momentum is movement directed by clarity. Mania is movement born of panic. Momentum builds gradually. Mania burns quickly. One sustains, the other exhausts. The man of balance knows when to accelerate and when to pause. His life becomes symphonic, crescendos of effort followed by stillness of reflection. The balanced man radiates quiet magnetism. His calmness draws people as surely as gravity draws planets. They feel his certainty without words. His leadership is effortless because it is natural. Others trust him because he is unmoved by emotion yet full of empathy. He listens before he speaks, decides before he reacts. The noise of the world cannot shake him because his foundation is peace. This equilibrium is not the absence of ambition. It is ambition ruled by wisdom. The balanced man still strives, but he strives with serenity. He still works, but his work is prayer. His presence carries authority, not from dominance, but from alignment. The world bends to his rhythm because he moves with the rhythm of law. Affirm to yourself each day, "I pursue greatness without losing gentleness. I master my ambition with harmony. I advance, but I remain whole." Let these words remind you that success built upon imbalance will collapse, but success built upon balance will endure beyond the man himself. You will find that once balance becomes habit, peace ceases to be something you seek. It becomes something you are. Then improvement no longer feels like struggle. It feels like flow. Progress ceases to be frantic. It becomes graceful. You act with precision because you act from calm. You no longer rush toward tomorrow because you are fully alive today. This is the true secret of the masters. They are not busier than others. They are calmer. Their achievements appear superhuman only because their minds remain aligned with law. When the rest of the world fights chaos, they move as if guided by unseen order. Theirs is not luck. It is equilibrium, the law of balance and constant motion. So let the world rush past in its noise and competition. You walk steadily. Let others exhaust themselves in haste. You conserve strength in calmness. Let others chase power. You embody it, because the man who keeps his center amidst motion commands everything that moves around him. There is a point every seeker must reach, the moment when he realizes that the mountain he has been climbing leads back to the valley he left. For all striving begins in the search for completion, and all true arrival reveals that completeness was never missing. The law of wholeness teaches that the purpose of improvement is not to become something else, but to remember who you are. Growth is revelation, not replacement. Every man begins his journey believing he must add more knowledge, more strength, more wealth. Yet when wisdom matures, he sees that greatness lies not in addition, but in subtraction, in removing fear, falsehood, and vanity until only truth remains. The acorn does not become the oak by collecting leaves. It becomes the oak by unfolding what already sleeps within. So too must you learn that self-improvement is not construction, but unfolding, the slow awakening of the real self from the illusion of limitation. There are two kinds of progress, one that extends outward and one that deepens inward. Outward progress builds empires, inventions, fortune. Inward progress builds character, harmony, and peace. Outward progress conquers, inward progress conquers the self. The tragedy of modern man is that he chases one and neglects the other. He builds towers that touch the sky, but foundations that crumble at the first tremor. The law of wholeness demands that both move together, for the external is but the reflection of the internal. The principle of moral integration governs all true success. The mind must not race ahead of the heart, nor the will move faster than wisdom. When one faculty dominates, imbalance follows. Intelligence without compassion becomes cruelty. Power without conscience becomes tyranny. Ambition without rest becomes madness. Harmony is the true measure of advancement. The man whose intellect, emotion, and purpose move in unison becomes unbreakable, for his soul operates as a single force. You have been taught to climb higher, to reach farther, to achieve faster. Yet few are taught to return inward. But until you return, you will remain a stranger to yourself. You cannot lead others if you have lost your center. You cannot serve truth if you are divided within. The law of wholeness begins with the command, be one thing within and without. Wholeness demands honesty. You must look without disguise upon your motives. Are you pursuing success to express potential or to escape fear? To serve others or to prove yourself? The answer decides the outcome. Motive is the soul of every action. Two men may perform the same deed. One creates peace, the other destruction, because their motives differ. The law of cause and effect operates not only in deed, but in desire. The pure motive aligns with infinite intelligence. The impure defies it. True power is quiet. The man of wholeness has no need to shout. His tone commands not because it is loud, but because it is steady. He no longer fights to be seen. His integrity makes him visible. The world senses his authenticity. A man whose words and actions match, whose ambition does not betray his soul. This alignment creates invisible influence. People trust what is whole because it is consistent. They follow it because it feels safe. The transition from self-improvement to self-expression marks the turning point of mastery. At first, you study laws to learn control. You discipline your thoughts, refine your actions, structure your habits. But once these become nature, you must reverse the flow. You must begin to create from ease rather than effort. The pianist first practices scales to learn control. Then he forgets the scales and plays music. So must you. The laws were never meant to cage you, but to free you to express your divine individuality. Do not confuse refinement with suppression. Many mistake restraint for virtue. They hold back words that should be spoken, suppress desires that were meant to inspire, bury dreams that were meant to guide. This is not mastery. It is fear disguised as discipline. Wholeness means expression without excess, truth delivered with grace, power balanced by compassion. The whole man does not silence himself. He simply speaks with harmony. All genuine achievement flows from identity. The mind creates from what it believes itself to be. A poor man may imitate the habits of the rich, but if he secretly believes in lack, his actions will sabotage him. A timid man may study the words of the confident, but until he sees himself as courageous, his voice will tremble. The subconscious cannot produce what the conscious mind has not accepted as identity. This is the root of all transformation. You must be before you can do. Carnegie understood this law. Long before his wealth appeared, he saw himself as a builder of opportunity. Money was never his identity. It was the tool of his purpose. Late in life, when others worshipped his fortune, he gave most of it away, not from guilt, but from understanding. He said, "The man who dies rich dies disgraced." He recognized wealth as instrument, not idol. The fortune was never the purpose. It was merely the byproduct of faith organized through service. The man of wholeness works from the inside out. He begins with the mind, molds his emotions to match it, and allows action to flow as consequence. The unwhole man reverses this order. He forces action hoping it will change emotion. He chases results to alter belief. But creation cannot be forced. It must be aligned. To the whole man, effort feels like flow because he acts from harmony, not hunger. The spiritual truth behind all law is simple. As within, so without. The condition of your outer world mirrors the order of your inner one. If you live in confusion, your affairs will reflect disorder. If you dwell in harmony, your environment will respond with ease. You cannot deceive law. It reproduces your dominant state faithfully. Therefore, to change circumstance, you must first change consciousness. The discipline of joy is the final mark of mastery. It is easy to work in strain, to grind in grim determination. It takes courage to work in joy, to labor with a light spirit, to bring laughter into diligence. Joy is the highest vibration of faith. It proves that you trust the process enough to enjoy it. The man who smiles through work demonstrates certainty. He no longer fears that his labor will fail. He knows that law does not cheat the cheerful. Humility protects the soul from the corruption of mastery. Every success carries a temptation to believe that power was self-made. But man is not creator of law. He is its instrument. The moment he mistakes himself for the source, his harmony breaks. Humility keeps the channel clear. It reminds you that you are both servant and vessel of the infinite. When pride rises, gratitude dissolves it. Humility is not self-belittlement. It is self-knowledge. The humble man does not think less of himself. He thinks of himself less often. His focus is purpose, not ego. Because he does not crave validation, he acts with greater strength. He cannot be insulted by failure, nor intoxicated by praise. This equilibrium gives him moral immunity. He lives as mountain among winds, unmoved, unoffended, unshaken. Self-knowledge precedes self-command. Many attempt to control themselves before they understand themselves. They try to discipline habits they have not studied, to change patterns they have not traced. This is like trying to steer a ship without knowing its design. The man of wisdom observes before correcting. He asks, "Why do I act so?" until the cause reveals itself. And once the cause is known, control becomes effortless. For nothing governs ignorance like awareness. The return to simplicity marks the final stage of wisdom. After years of study, the wise man speaks plainly. After countless victories, he acts modestly. Complexity is the mark of the beginner. Simplicity is the crown of the master. Ford's genius was not an invention alone, but in reducing chaos to clarity. He simplified production to its essence. One purpose, one rhythm, one law. You too must simplify your life until every thought, word, and act serve your definite chief aim. Constant motion is the illusion of the unbalanced. They believe that stopping means decline, but being is greater than doing. The seed that rests is not dying, it is preparing. The man who cannot pause has lost control. Stillness is not the opposite of movement, it is its governor. The ability to stop at will, to withdraw attention from noise and return to center, is the test of mastery. The whole man moves from stillness as arrow from bow, swift because it is directed. Ambition, when purified, becomes stewardship. The whole man no longer seeks to conquer. He seeks to cultivate. He no longer asks, "How much can I take?" but "How well can I serve?" His wealth becomes responsibility. His knowledge becomes obligation. He understands that possession is privilege, not proof. The higher he climbs, the more gently he walks, for he knows that power was given to him not to dominate, but to direct. You will recognize the whole man by the atmosphere he carries. His eyes are steady, his tone calm, his words measured. He does not rush, yet he is never late. He is neither loud nor timid. There is gravity in his presence, not heaviness, but depth. Those around him feel safe without knowing why. His confidence does not compete, it comforts. This is spiritual authority, influence born not of force, but of order. The success of such a man becomes a fragrance more than a statement. He does not advertise his greatness, he emits it. His life becomes sermon without words. People leave his company improved, though he has given no advice. That is the highest achievement, to uplift by existence. Gratitude is the proof of maturity. It is the soul's signature that says, "I have seen enough to trust the law." The ungrateful man still believes he is the architect. The grateful man knows he is the instrument. Gratitude returns him to harmony. It clears resentment. It softens ambition. It aligns will with wisdom. To live in gratitude is to live in abundance now, not later. The balance between material expansion and spiritual rest defines the truly successful life. Material gain is good, but spiritual peace is necessary. Without it, wealth becomes weight. The man of wholeness builds fortune with the same calmness with which he sleeps, prays, or thinks. His outer achievement is merely a reflection of his inner tranquility. His work is worship, his rest is renewal, his prosperity is proof of peace. The closing moral law is eternal. Success that costs peace is failure in disguise. The devil will tempt every ambitious soul with this trade. Progress without patience, recognition without reflection, achievement without alignment. But no gain can replace harmony. The restless man may accumulate wealth, but he loses wealth's purpose. Contentment. The balanced man may move slower, but every step is solid. His peace multiplies his progress. To live in wholeness is to rise above division. Between heart and mind, action and rest, self and purpose. It is to move in unity with law. When you reach this state, every thought aligns with destiny. Every emotion supports it. Every action fulfills it. You no longer strive. You synchronize. Life ceases to be a battle and becomes a symphony. Repeat daily these affirmations of integration. I improve to reveal, not to replace. I expand, yet I remain centered. I build wealth without losing wonder. I am both fire and stillness, ambition ruled by peace. My outer growth mirrors my inner harmony. Speak these as declarations of identity, not wishes. You are not becoming this man. You are remembering him. Each repetition calls back what the noise of ambition made you forget. Let the world chase extremes, more, faster, louder. You Live by law, walk calmly, speak deliberately, rest without guilt, act without fear, love without measure. That is the mark of the truly improved soul, the man who has conquered himself and therefore no longer needs to prove himself. The highest goal of self-improvement is not to rise above others, but to return home to yourself. When you finally understand this, you will see that the mountain was never about height. It was about depth. For every summit you reached outside, a deeper summit was forming within. And when the two meet, the outward and the inward, you will know peace, not pride. You will stand at last in quiet mastery, able to say with certainty, I am whole, I am enough, I am free. Epilogue, the final law, peace as power. There comes a moment after all striving has been done when the true student of life stands alone with silence. The books are closed, the affirmations are spoken, the victories are behind him. And he must ask the question that every conqueror, every thinker, every dreamer must one day face. Now that I have achieved, can I rest within myself? For what is the use of all improvement if it ends not in peace? The world measures success by accumulation of money, of recognition, of knowledge. But infinite intelligence measures success by serenity. The question is never how much you have built, but how much of yourself remains in harmony after building it. You can possess the world and still be poor if your mind is restless. You can lose everything and still be rich if your heart is calm. Peace is not the reward of life. It is the foundation of it. It is not found at the summit of the mountain, but carried up the slope. Every law I have taught, definiteness of purpose, faith, decision, persistence, was never meant to make you restless. It was meant to discipline your energy so that peace could reign within your mastery. The man who uses the laws of success without learning the law of peace has built a machine that runs but never rests. When I speak of peace, I do not mean idleness. Peace is not the absence of motion. It is motion without friction. It is the art of doing without being driven, of striving without strain, of creating without confusion. It is not the end of ambition, but its refinement. The calm mind does not lose fire. It perfects its flame. Look to the great builders who stood the test of time. Carnegie, who found joy not in possession but in philanthropy. Ford, who sought simplicity over show. Edison, who laughed at failure as if it were a friend in disguise. They learned what many never do, that mastery is not the conquest of the world, but the conquest of self. The fortune, the factory, the invention, all were secondary to the discipline of the inner man. If I could whisper one truth into every restless heart, it would be this: the purpose of improvement is not to outrun others, but to outgrow confusion. You are not here to win a race. You are here to achieve order, first within, then without. Order is peace, and peace is power. The man who is calm cannot be defeated. His enemies exhaust themselves trying to provoke him. His failures cannot frighten him, for he has learned to see opportunity and delay. The storms of life cannot uproot him, because his roots are in the soil of purpose, not the wind of opinion. He is not immune to pain. He has simply learned to give it meaning. There is a silent majesty in a man who no longer needs to prove himself. He walks slower, speaks softer, and yet his influence grows stronger. People sense that his calmness is not weakness but wisdom. They trust him because he trusts law. They follow him because he follows principle. This is the highest stage of growth, when mastery becomes natural, when greatness becomes grace. The tragedy of many seekers is that they reach the height of power but forget the simplicity of peace. They command industries, empires, or ideas, yet remain strangers to themselves. They know how to lead others, but not how to sit quietly with their own thoughts. The world calls them successful, but they are prisoners of achievement. Men who have conquered everything but rest. Peace must become your highest form of discipline. It is not granted by the world. It is chosen. You must defend it as fiercely as you defend your ambition. Every morning, before the noise of the day rises, remind yourself My calmness is my command. Before every action ask, will this strengthen my peace or steal it? For every law of success, peace is the master key, the quiet confidence that keeps all others in harmony. To live without peace is to live as a beggar in a mansion. You may have every external proof of greatness, but your soul will still wander homeless. And no man, however rich, can escape the poverty of a restless heart. But the moment you choose peace, you inherit wealth beyond measure. You discover that every challenge is smaller than your composure, every trial weaker than your stillness, every failure powerless before your faith. Let me speak to you plainly. The world will tempt you to trade peace for progress. It will praise your exhaustion, glorify your overwork, and call your imbalance commitment. But do not be deceived. The law does not honor strain, it honors order. The oak does not rush, yet it rises stronger than the weeds that grow overnight. The stars do not compete for brightness, yet they illuminate eternity. You too must learn to let greatness unfold naturally, not forcefully. When I walked among the titans of industry, I saw two kinds of men. The first built their power upon tension. They thrived on conflict, on conquest, on control. The second built upon rhythm. They worked hard, but they rested deeply. They planned boldly, but they laughed easily. They ruled not by fear, but by faith. And though both reached heights, only the latter kept their health, their happiness, and their humanity. The law of success, in its purest form, is a spiritual law. It was never meant to make men mechanical. It was meant to remind them of their divine origin, that man is not a creature of circumstance, but a co-creator with infinite intelligence. The more you understand this, the less you will strive against life and the more you will work with it. The law of harmony governs all creation. Align with it, and your life will flow with grace. The test of mastery is not how loud your success becomes, but how silent your spirit remains. Can you stay calm in victory? Can you stay faithful in loss? Can you remain grateful when delayed, patient when ignored, humble when praised? These are the real measures of strength. The man who wins without arrogance and fails without bitterness has achieved balance with law, and that balance is peace. There is a rhythm to all things, the beat of your heart, the breath of the earth, the motion of the stars. The man who finds his rhythm with life never feels late or lost. He knows when to act and when to wait, when to speak and when to listen, when to strive and when to rest. The restless man fights time. The wise man flows with it. As you move forward in your journey of mastery, carry this truth as your final compass. You were never meant to lose yourself in pursuit of yourself. The purpose of discipline is to return you to freedom. The purpose of ambition is to lead you to peace. The purpose of success is to teach you humility. The purpose of life is not improvement, it is realization. Realization that you already possess everything you seek, that the strength you chase is within you. The wisdom you desire speaks in silence. The abundance you dream of grows from gratitude. The world outside is only a mirror of the world within. To change your reflection, polish the glass, not by force, but by calm awareness. Be careful never to mistake motion for meaning. Many men move quickly toward nothing. The wise man moves slowly toward everything. The faster you run from stillness, the further you drift from truth. But one moment of deep awareness, one instant of silent clarity, can realign a lifetime of wandering. And when that peace finally settles upon you, when your breath slows and your mind stands still, you will know the search is over. You will see that every challenge, every trial, every sleepless night was part of a perfect design to bring you back to yourself. For peace is not found in the world, it is found in the one who knows he belongs to it. Say these words now and let them echo through your being until they become law. I am whole. I am guided. I am at peace. Nothing external can command me, for I command myself. My success serves my soul. My soul serves the infinite. I move with calm purpose, and law moves with me. Let these not be recitations, but realizations. Let them not be promises, but proclamations. Speak them each morning, not as request, but as remembrance. For when peace becomes identity, success becomes inevitable. The world does not need more hurried minds. It needs calm leaders. It does not need more ambition. It needs balance. It does not need more noise. It needs order. You were not born to chase. You were born to command. And the highest command is quiet conviction. When men look upon you, calm in chaos, focused in confusion, steady in storm, they will sense something beyond comprehension. They will see in you what they have forgotten in themselves, the power of peace. They will call you lucky, blessed, chosen, but you will know the truth. You are not chosen. You have chosen. You have chosen to live in alignment with law. So walk now in peace, not as retreat, but as reign. Let your calmness rule where others tremble. Let your serenity speak where others shout. Let your stillness inspire motion in others. This is the legacy of mastery, not merely to build empires, but to embody order. And when you reach the final day of your life, you will not count achievements. You will measure harmony. You will not ask, how much did I gain? But how deeply did I live? You will not seek applause, for peace will be its own sound, the soft, eternal rhythm of a soul that has completed its circle. The law will whisper one last time, well done. You have become what you were meant to be, calm, complete, and free.